Welcome to the Health, Social, Educational, and Environmental Committee meeting. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here.
Chairwoman Atkinson.
Present. Moving on to number 3 is the approval for a budgetary amendment 25A 034 Social Services New York State Shelter Arrears Eviction for Forestallment Allocation.
Yes.
Yes.
So this is an allocation that we received from the Office of Temporary Disability and Assistance. How's it? It's a small allocation. This is the first time we're receiving it. It's around $13,000.
Zero physical impact.
Yes.
And there's a need for this.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions for this item? Okay. Thank you. Make a motion to approve budgetary amendment 25A 034. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4 is an FYI, it's the Youth Bureau Governor's Traffic Safety Committee Highway Safety Grant.
Yes. So the Youth Bureau is seeking to reapply. This would be the 5th year for this program. They currently partner with local municipalities to reduce the number of fatalities, personal injuries, speed-related, and impaired crashes among young drivers. Funding for this is predominantly used for one full-time equivalent for the coordinator of the program, while another large portion of this actually is for printing and forms. So they issue pamphlets that are issued at the DMV upon the learner's permit being issued to promote safe driving for young adults.
Great, and just to note, there's no matching funds.
That's correct.
Okay. FYI, we'll leave it with that. Moving on to 5. Discussion. Think Differently program. The Health Department, a public health director is here this evening, Rian Rodriguez, and Early Intervention and Preschool Supervisor Valerie Kurtz. Good evening, thank you for coming this evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having us.
Yes, so I see the Think Differently initiative is moving forward, and I saw some pictures in the papers. Unfortunately, the legislature was not informed that there was going to be a tour of the facility that took place, I think, last week. So, I think we would appreciate the opportunity from the county executive to visit the facility. Hoping to do so in the future.
Most certainly, we'd love to have you there. I apologize.
It's not your fault. It's not.
We'd be more than happy to make the arrangements that you could be actually physically be there and actually see the site, because it is quite impressive. I'd like to start by saying good evening. I'd like to thank the Legislative Committee and the members of the Putnam community at large for your willingness to thoroughly consider the following proposal. While I may be new to the Putnam County Department of Health, I am not new to the concept of implementing the least restrictive approach to instructional delivery and the highly positive effects it can have on the life learning trajectory of a child and his or her social development. So tonight, we will be discussing an opportunity to provide an optimal solution for some of our most vulnerable kids and their families. We will also deliver a value proposition to the county. It is with this framework in mind that I present Valerie Kurtz, our Early Intervention Program Supervisor. Valerie will outline how Thinking Differently we can co-create an early childhood instructional delivery model in the general education classroom setting while enhancing services for developmentally delayed students and their families. So with that in mind, Valerie, please.
Good evening. I first want to thank you guys for allowing me additional backup information, and I do have copies for the public if they want to follow along. I too apologize, and I would love for you guys to see the site as well. So if we look at the first page, we'll just go through it one by one. I will show you. So this Putnam County Early Learning Center is a Think Differently building. This is something that has not been done before, so we are pioneering it. So what is unique about this proposal? It holds the values and the vision of the health department, the county, InterArts, where this place is, as well as myself. So taking in mind leadership, dedication, teamwork, and compassion, this is what we need to be successful for the children, the most vulnerable population that I serve. The terminology that I'm going to be talking about today is the committee, CPSE, the Committee on Preschool Special Education. So you guys have probably seen that in the budget, but this is our 3-year-old to 5-year-old population. These are students that are identified through the school district who possess the IEP, which is an individual education plan for, again, the 3 to 5-year-olds. The IEP is the individual education plan. It may include provisions of services such as speech, physical therapy, occupational therapy, special instruction, social work. It could also mean a self-contained class, which is opposite of what we'll talk about today. That's really with no typical children and a class with a high teacher ratio. Okay, UPK, if anybody doesn't know, that's the Universal Pre-Kindergarten. That is New York State funded early education for the 4 to 5-year-olds. Okay. The goals of our program is to have better student outcomes, reduce travel time. I'm sure you guys heard about parents complaining on the bus, and the cost savings to the county. Our philosophy, we believe that all children, regardless of ability, have the capacity to thrive both inside and outside of the classroom. And that inclusion education fosters this potential. Each inclusion class will be staffed with an experienced educator who embraces the various speeds and ways children grow, learn and develop, enriching students' experiences, and enhancing program outcomes. Putnam County's Think Differently Preschool is aligned with New York State Department of Education learning standards and ensures high-quality education for all students. Okay, so this is a braided model. So this is the proposal. So the braided model is taking some CPSE kids, right, the Committee on Preschool Special Education, who have an IEP, and combining them with typical developmental kids from the UPK, which is the Universal Pre-K, really giving a nice inclusion. Both of them would be working together, and it mostly would be Carmel and Brewster that we would be working with because of the proximity of the building. In the future, if this is going to be successful, but in the future, we would love to expand to other school districts, the other side of the county, and so forth. Again, the provision of the high quality of this program, we will be following the UPK curriculum, which is pretty good, and it'll get everybody ready for kindergarten, but it'll also help these special education students. It will have special instruction, speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and social work, all within that program embedded. That's very important. Transportation, this is also important, right? It will reduce the time for our preschool students. Right now, our preschool students are on the bus anywhere between an hour and 2 hours one way. So that's not counting the 5.5-hour program. So then the 2-hour drive home, they're working longer than their parents, right? So it's really, think about, putting your grandchildren, your children on a bus who may be nonverbal, may have issues, and that's a long time to be on the bus. So this would cut that bus time down, and it also be a cost savings to the county because we're not transporting all these children all the way down to Westchester. Some of them go all the way down to Yonkers, the Ossining, White Plains, Scarsdale, Mount Kisco, but we want to bring these children back to Putnam as much as possible and keep them in our own backyard. We also have potential of getting additional savings for the transportation. I am working with Carmel, and I've been talking to Carmel and Brewster Central School District to possibly have them transport the children, and we would reimburse them, which is actually at a lower rate than what we are paying now for NC Transit. So again, the partnership will be with, we will maintain the agencies that we contract with now for those services, as we call related services, which is the OT, the PT, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech, all that. We will maintain that because, of course, not every child will be in this program, and we still need that. But we also will keep the children that are very medical fragile or have like high intense needs. That's not this program for this inclusion class. And of course, we will partner with those school districts. I have begun talks with other school districts so far. It's actually going quite well. And the partnership with Intra-Arts, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So this is also a potential, if you think about it, to save for over the academic lifespan of the child. The more we get to these children now and help these children and hire that bar and have them reach that bar, the more kindergarten readiness they will be, the less they're going to need 504 plans or CSC, which is the Committee on Special Education, when they get to school. So we're going to see this. The kids that go to UPK not only have a higher rate of graduation and going to college, but they have a higher rate of meeting their own personal potential. So this is where we start here, and this is very important. All right, so partnership with Intra-Arts. If you look at this code, if you go home, look at it, it is just a quick video. I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes of that building. I, of course, will be inviting you all to that building. And it's very exciting. It's beautiful. The artwork, the walls are colorful. You will see it. You'll see the artwork on the walls when you do this video. And a lot of the artwork comes from children and adults that go to that program. So Intra-Arts is a community-based program that works with adults mostly with disabilities. So they allow them to express themselves and feel pride in their work through art. And their partnership with us is so important because their vision and their values are the same as ours. We want inclusion. They want everybody in Putnam County to know about them because they want to include people from the community to work with their clients as well. But more importantly, they also believe in having us there, and they support us 100%, that we can enhance this program as well by using some of their services. Our little kids can have yoga and music and arts and pottery just to enhance their learning development in this program. And it gives them a chance, not only for the typical children, but the children that are in our CPSE program that typically will not go to UPK, gives them the chance of equal opportunity learning and all these experiences in that program. So that's a great program, and I hope that you really support us in that. So we're going to skip to the timeline now. So I started back in 2023. I talked to, we actually did with Bill Orr. I did the budget with Bill Orr, and I'm sure you've seen the budget for preschool. It's no surprise, it's very high. But I broke it down, and we pay anywhere between $40,000 to $70,000 a kid to go to preschool for 10 months. That's not counting summer. That's a lot of money. That's what we pay for our children to go to college, right? So I'm like, how can we get a higher education, more inclusion, enriching and a more enriched program to get these kids to where they need to be at a lesser price? And that is where this program came in. I talked to the school districts. They're frustrated on the children being on the bus too. They have wait lists of children that still need program. They have wait lists for kids that need speech or PT or OT. So they're just as frustrated as we are. So then I reached out to some other families, and some of the families also are like, my child has been on the bus so long, and it's scary. Or they have to put their child on a bus that they're facing down in Westchester County because we don't really have much in Putnam County right now. So, and it fills up very quickly. So if you have to send your child to Westchester, and this is your baby, and this is your first time leaving your, but it's very hard. So I talked to these families, I talked to the school district, and of course the internal stakeholders, such as, the county exec's office and Bill and Dr. Nejuit, and all those wonderful people who really supported this. I also worked with Vinny when he was in transportation, and I outlined how much we pay for each child both ways, and then if we had some place in Putnam, how much that would save. And Bill will go over the money, that's his job, not mine. And then I also worked with New York State Department of Education and Office of Children and Family Services to ensure that I would like to do an application for both, but to also ensure that we meet all the criteria and make sure that if this project gets its full approval, that we absolutely are supported by all entities, and we can maximize the money we get back, and more importantly, our children are in our backyard and safe and have a higher quality education. I began exploring those models that New York State Education Department gave me, and that's when I came up with the braided model. And I thought, we could do this, right? So that's when I started working with the school district, and then I started working with the state and for these school districts for the CPSE, which is the Committee on Preschool Special Education, plus the UPK, and to get them to realize that we could do this as a partnership. We could give them better education, and we could give them in our own backyard without spending lots of money and sending them so far away from home. Then we started in the development phase. I did the roundtable, which Laura and Erin, right, you were able to attend, along with, we had the town of Patterson there. We had, of course, we had the health department staff, and the county exec was there. I also had some agencies there that are willing to do the services for us, so it's not going to cost us anything in that realm because we already pay those services to those agencies, so it would be the same, except for it would be better for the providers because then they don't have to drive from place to place. They can just service a whole bunch of children in one place. And then we're here at the legislative presentation. So this is as we move forward, and then of course we'll be working on hopefully the agreements and moving forward into implementation with all of your support. All right. So I'm going to turn this over quickly to Bill, and he's going to do the money, and then I'll just sum up the rest. Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
How you doing?
Bill?
All right, the next two slides just calculates the annual savings projection for this hybrid model. Okay. Currently, the pre-K program is 115 children that attend schools. Okay, the average tuition cost, I know Valerie said a range, but the average is like 48, maybe 50, is getting closer to. Okay, and the estimated cost for a child to attend a new program is estimated to be less than half of that, $22,464. Okay. We estimate 40 of the 150 children will be attending the new program. This is a savings of $25,500 per child. Okay. So on an annual basis, I did everything annual. We may start this in September, we get half year, but get a full picture we have with annually. The gross savings of 40 children attending the program will be $1,021,000. See on the sheet in the red. Okay. The estimated decrease in transportation would be $500,000. It's kind of conservative, but I wanted to show conservative here. And the total gross savings, that all added up, is gonna be 1.521 million, okay? On the second page, it'll show you, items that, will reduce that. We're gonna need, we're gonna hire an employee to oversee the operation, okay? It's gonna be 135,000 with fringe. The rent, as you can see, is 174 annual. Building maintenance costs, which I have a breakdown of, but not to get too deep into, is 432,000. You can work on that and decrease that. So the total additional cost is 741. None of those items are reimbursable, okay? So that's a total reduction in annual expenses of 1,089,000. Now, being the fact that we reduce costs, we also reduce revenues, okay? That's where that 607 comes in. We have to reduce the revenues, they're not gonna come in. So this is why this savings goes down. So with that, and with the transportation savings, the annual savings go up $481,000, and that's a conservative amount. But again, I think Val spilled it out, the fact that this is going to be a nice cycle of savings on this. It's not the main issue. The main issue is not the kids on the bus. But the savings is good. Any questions?
I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said that only a portion of the students would be going to this. Why wouldn't a higher percentage of the students have this program?
I'll answer that. Okay, so because it's an inclusion class, so the most we could have in a class is 18 children. So if we put 5 or 6 identified children that are from CPSE, the rest would be typical from UPK for the unit. So if there's 9 classes, so 9 times 5 is 45, right? So we would be able to do that much.
So it's a space limitation.
It's a space
At this
limitation.
time. So, but if this program is
At this time,
successful,
right. So if it's successful, which I think it is, everybody likes it, and I actually have a parent here, right? So that is in full support, and but we're getting a lot of positive things, so I would love to see it on the other
just so
side.
you understand, I'm very, very much in support of this. I just want to make sure that every child who needs this type of opportunity or intervention,
Yes.
it will become available for them, if not immediately, but in the short term.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yes,
right?
yes, we have to start somewhere, and I agree. Everybody should have the opportunity.
This might be you, not Bill, but you had mentioned that right now because of proximity, it's Brewster School District.
Yes.
Yeah. So wouldn't it be a cost savings for Carmel School District? Even from Bangkok on the other side, even Putnam Valley, it would be a shorter distance actually to your center and to go to a 2-hour ride. So.
Well, the identified children, the CPSE, those children from all the school districts would be sending those kids to that. The Carmel and Brewster, it would be only the UPK that I'd be taking from because they would have to transport or their parents would transport. So I can't ask Mayapack or Putt Valley or Haldane to bring all their kids over here for the universal pre-K, which is typically their own school district. That's why we just use Carmel and Brewster right now, but the identified children are from everywhere in Putnam County.
Okay. Now, what if a parent was willing to drive their child?
Absolutely.
Then they would get into the program?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Probably
Absolutely.
more.
I think more parents would like that, yes.
Because it's really.
Maybe more transportation savings, you know.
The long bus ride is very concerning.
It is very.
Thank you. Anyone else in the committee? Committee first, do you have any questions?
Not a question, I'll just I just want to thank you, Valerie, for all your passion. I think this is great. I'm excited because I have been to the building when they opened it up for the inner arts, and it's a beautiful facility, so thank you for all your effort.
Any other questions? Sorry, you had your hand up first. Did you? Okay, Erin.
Thank you. I have
known Valerie for almost 7 years. Was involved in my kids' journey through this, and it was very difficult as a mother to find the interventions, even coming into my own home. We tried to put PT and OT spot because we couldn't get people to come there. This is something that is very, very important that we have in the county. Also, with having a lack of providers, we also have a lack of centers. So there's a waiting list. So you do end up going, as a parent, driving to Westchester. And then when they're put on a bus and they're in the 3 and 4-year-olds, their CPSE, my kids were lucky enough to only have to travel somewhere. They were on a bus for an hour each way. And they did get all their services there for 2 years. It was wonderful. It was a great experience. There were ups, there were downs. But having the peace within me to know that, number one, they're going to this building, which I visited also when they first opened, and seeing what they do upstairs was phenomenal. For the adults and the children, from music to art to every kind of therapy under the sun. But then having SEADs and special education, OT, PT, speech, I don't know if you know feeding, but all these different kinds of therapies all in one building. And a parent doesn't have to worry about racing from one appointment to the next appointment to get their kids and things they need, and trying to find locations that can actually help them. So I commend you on this. I thank you all for this initiative, and God, I wish it was around 4 or 5 years ago. So thank you, Valerie. I know how amazing you are at your job. You walked me through it, my whole family, and I couldn't think of a better person to start this. Thank you.
Valerie, we met about over 14 years ago.
Yes, we did.
And your job is so important to families in this community. I don't think you know how important your job and what you do is for the community. The Think Differently program that emanated out of Dutchess County, former county executive and former Congressman Molinaro created it because of needs within his family. And I had the experience of putting my daughter on the bus going down to Lower Westchester, and it's exhausting. These kids to get up early in the morning, take the long bus ride, have their intense therapies, and then have a long bus ride home. And you see these little kids get worn out. So it is important that we, even if there were no cost savings, and I actually think, Bill, I think your numbers are, I think we're going to see a really tremendous, much more than what you're drawing out here. I just thank you, and I'm looking forward to going up there. I'm disappointed that there was a tour that we weren't invited on, but we certainly have, I believe we're going to have some support here. Question I have is, through the chair, when do we think we're going to get this up and functioning this September?
Well, I hope, but probably not, right? So there's obviously the full approval has to be, the lease has to be done, like all these things have to be done, and then of course the build out has to be done, so probably not. But again, IntraArts has been so instrumental and with me, and so wonderful that they are offering their space as a contingency plan until that other portion of the building is complete. So I'm hoping.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility, but I'm
On a
hoping.
small level,
Yeah. Right.
Great. I just want to ask one question. So, what about summer program?
Summer program for CPSE will be there, obviously not for UPK, but summer will still be there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Which is age?
So, I think it's wonderful. I just have a question about some of the numbers. Mostly, what about children, I mean, the buy-in from the parents? I'm just trying to understand if all parents would be going into this program and that's gonna save all the transportation, or we're gonna be paying for transportation for families who don't want to join this program, still to go down to Westchester or wherever, so we're gonna pay double for transportation?
Well, it's actually will still be a decrease of transportation. There are some kids that will still be down in, have to go down to Westchester County. Elizabeth Seton, Blythedale, those are children that are medically fragile. That's not a program for those children, so we would still be busing them. And until we can only house so many, so I'm hoping that in talking with the CPSC chairs, that we could send them to this program. And then, of course, Easter Seals is in Carmel right now, Park is in Carmel right now, Mayapack right now, you have UCP and Brewster. So I'm hoping that we could, between all of us, house the majority of them and send very minimal down to Westchester County.
Is it the parents?
It is the parents' choice, it is. But when they start to see what is available, a lot of them have changed their mind or will change their mind. And she's actually one of them, right? So she was gonna send her child down to Westchester County. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's
I'm
fine.
sorry. But she chose a program in Hawthorne. And then when this program, she heard about it, and her I spoke, she's just like, no, she wants our program. So a lot of them do, but it's just what is available right now. So once this word gets out, once people, you guys come and visit, and more people come and visit, I think it'll be less and less in Westchester County.
This is a wonderful program, I totally support it.
Great.
Thank
So that's the one to go.
I just one more thing.
What's
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much. This is one of those categories that it's the, most calls I get. There's a couple of them, and this is when I first got on the legislature, this was the majority of the calls from parents who were frustrated with the system and putting their kids in. Isn't there anything else available? So this can't happen soon enough. Love to see it happen quicker for my district if possible, and I'm just really grateful that you worked so hard on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so the next steps, right? So we talked about the district survey, we talked to, Patterson Town Planning is in support of this as well. I started the district and community meetings with the Carmel Central School District. I go to where the parents are going to choose for UPK, and I'm telling them about this program, so they would pick our program. So all that stuff is great stuff, and I'm trying to get out to the community as much as possible. And then, of course, the next steps for us is that I have to complete, and I don't have to, but I would like to complete the New York State Department of Education 4410 application. What does that mean for you guys? It means that it also gives us, the county, the opportunity that this inclusion class takes off, but let's just say there's some kids that need an 812, right? So that's 8 children, 1 teacher, 2 aides, because they're not ready for that inclusion class. That allows us, if I do this application, to maybe have 1 or 2, and then have like a step-up tier program, allowing them to then grow into an inclusion class with all the supports embedded in there, but yet they also get the enrichment of that program. So I'm looking to do that as well. And then, of course, the New York State Office of Children and Family Services application. Again, I'm doing this because a lot of parents are asking for before and after care. We didn't get there yet, so I'm just focusing on one thing at a time, but I figured let me work on it. And then, of course, the implementation of the security, the personnel, all the governing agencies and the standards all have to be met, and parent and family information and engagement. And I would love the momentum to expand across the braided model inclusion program to expand across the county. All of the school districts. So we bring our children back and give them a higher education. And then you could read the testimonies at the end. But these are just 2 parents that wanted to be here tonight and couldn't, and they just they're excited about this as well. Thank you.
Valerie and Bill, I think you have a winter program here, and being the business guy in the room, I just want to caution you, please think long-term, because if this takes off, we all know that government can move at the speed of a snail with a broken, whatever snail moves on. So please have some sort of contingency after this, so you're in a position to increase capacity.
on that note, is there anything that we can do to help move it along? So there's some support.
Most definitely. So in conclusion, I respectfully invite this legislative body to support the creation of the Putnam County Early Learning Center and to serve as Think Differently ambassadors as we launch out and roll out this important program. Thank you for your consideration, partnership, and support. And with that support, I'm sure we can do everything in our power to bring this to fruition by September.
Great. So it's on for discussion this evening, it's on for approval.
Right.
Are we, if I may, sorry, are we developing a resolution to just, basically state that, what Rian is stating, and can we have that prepared for the next?
Yeah, next month.
Committee?
Yes.
Next month?
Next month, sure.
We'll
We can
prepare.
get that, this was, we get that moving along.
We'll prepare a resolution, and then do you need letters of support for your submission for the, 4410?
Oh, I already actually have
Yes.
that.
Okay, sorry. Oh, wait, just a.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you. So next month we'll have the contracts that MOAs and all that stuff ready, so we can vote on it to get it moving.
Let's hope.
Wonderful.
Of course.
Even
Of
if
course.
we don't, I
Right,
think
yeah,
the resolution would be.
Yes, that would be sufficient, and then we
Yes.
can move forward with the other part. Yes.
I'm guessing we're gonna have to have lease agreements, and these lease agreements, we're
Yes.
going to go through a committee, to go through with the law department, to go through these lease agreements.
It's all in the works. It's all-
Yeah, it's all, yeah, so that.
I'll try to come and get it.
You'll tell us. where.
It is in the works, yeah.
Thank you. It's exciting. Thank you. Any other legislators, comments?
And maybe you could come visit before the next
Yeah,
month.
definitely. Definitely. We would love to.
That would be
I would
great.
love to.
We'll bring us into the justice.
Oh. Okay, we're just wait. Okay, so any other legislators, any questions? Nova? Please come up and state your name.
I am the purple pen. Just wanted to quickly just say that I wanted to give my perspective. I've worked in special education for the last 15 years. And I've done so at virtually every level. Started my career as a one-to-one aide for a young person with autism at a Westchester school that had a lot of Putnam County kids being bused, over there. And was able to, move my way up to special education teacher, behavior case manager, and so on. And, Legislator Yaki actually said it perfectly. The time on the bus with everything else these kids have to go through. As an educator, it makes our jobs difficult to do the things, provide the therapies that we need to provide because of the fatigue that goes on the bus. Especially a lot of these young kids have sensory needs. That's why they're having occupational therapy as part of the therapy program. To be on an isolated small bus, who knows what kind of noises, windows rattling, lights blinking. We don't even take those things into account ourselves, but this is something that those kids are very sensitive to. So, Valerie, I cannot be more support of everything that you're doing. We spoke a few times when our new public health director started. We've had conversations as well. This is something that, above anything else you've ever heard me talk about, is very dear to me. So, I am finally glad to see this body talk in unison for once. And I commend you all for that, because you're recognizing that these are the people that you're really here to help. So I thank you for that. And I would be remiss if I didn't just add that one thing I would love to see us work on over time, and this program needs to get off the ground and needs to be expanded to legislator on that point. But the lifespan for these children does not stop at the age of 22 or 23. And some of you on this board know that better than anyone else in the world. And if you ask a parent, and maybe you share this, if you ask a parent, one of the scariest moments of their lives is when they first get the diagnosis, which is happening in this age range, predominantly in that 2 to 4 year range. But then after that, the next scariest moment, the thing that haunts them, is what happens when I die? What happens when I'm not here? Okay? And at the age of 22, 23, those services stop. They stop cold, they stop hard, and there's not enough that's being done for after that time to help them into their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they're gonna reach those ages. So I would just implore the county to keep exploration, keep thinking about what we can do at that point as well. It doesn't just stop with early intervention, there needs to be more after that. I know there's support for that, and I know it's a very complicated issue, and not politically, not publicly, I'm happy to lend support in any way I can for that as well. And again, thank you all for this and for how you're handling it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
State your name.
I'm Dina Fortin, and I live on the border of Holmes and Patterson, so I'm way up. So Valerie's been great to us. I have two children that have been through both EI and CPSE. And it's been an amazing program, but as everyone else has said, the busing has been just a huge issue. My older son was on the bus for an hour and a half each way to Hawthorne. Our younger son now is 3 going into CPSE, and same thing, he's gonna be on the bus, and he does have sensory issues. And I really am just so happy that this program has come about, and that it seems to be very much supported, and I appreciate it. So, yes, thank you.
Could you just stop and share? Thank you. Anyone else?
Is there any limit to the number of children who can get involved in this program?
Everyone's against that.
Sir, could you state your name?
Sign in. How many, well, we were talking about that. How many, we're limited right now, so are you asking for the future, how many capacity would be?
Yeah.
In the future? Well, you would have to expand the building or the inside, is that correct?
Well, we would have to probably get another site, yeah, so that has 9 classrooms right now, so it'll probably be at max 120 students. 45, possibly 50 of them could be CPSE, which is the Committee on Preschool Special Ed identified. Beyond that, we would have to get another building.
Is there a way you could addition for that one?
I'm not familiar, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much for this presentation. We think this is wonderful and totally support it. Okay. This is just for discussion, like I said, it's nothing to approve this evening, hopefully in May. Moving on to number 6 is other business. Seeing there's no other business, I make a motion to adjourn in a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
going to be discussing an item with respect to public input at all of our meetings. There'll be some discussion on that. That's not on tonight's agenda, but I do want to put that on May's agenda. With that, we'll jump right into this month's agenda. Our first item is item number 4, approval of appointment to the Putnam County Representative on Region 3 Fish and Wildlife Board. We have a request and an application from a Michael Tozzi, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. He's going to be replacing Ray Merlotto. I'll move it on behalf of the committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion from the committee? Any discussion from any legislators?
Thank you. Just wanted to thank Ray Merlotto for his years of service. I don't even know how many years of service to the Region 3 Fish and Wildlife Board and all that he's done for, the Sportsmen's Federation and, his conservation efforts and education efforts. Mike Tozzi's a wonderful candidate. The board is eagerly awaiting. We spoke about it at the last Fish and Wildlife Board meeting, and they're all very supportive of this. So I'm really happy to support Mike and really, truly want to express my thanks to Ray.
And you represent the legislature on the board. Thank you. Any other legislators have any comment? Any member of the public? Any comment? Seeing none, I'll ask, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No opposed? Next item is item number 5, approval of reappointment for the Putnam County Board of Ethics, Barbara Scuccimarra. We have before us a memo from our county executive asking that Barbara Scuccimarra be reappointed. She currently serves on the board. As we all know, she's to serve on this body as well. I'll move it on behalf of the committee. Is there any second?
Second.
Any discussion among the committee? Any discussions among any legislators? Any discussion among the public?
I think Ms. Scuccimarra is a wonderful person. She's a smart individual, and I think reappointing her to this position is very good.
I'd like to echo that. She's had a long service in public service, and it's a volunteer position, of course, and we always want to thank our volunteers for the work that they do on behalf of Putnam County and the government. Any other legislators? Any member of the public? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Item number 6 is it says discussion approval, but I mentioned this will be an approval item. We have before us an amendment to the legislative manual, live streaming of legislative sessions, public meetings, and public hearings. We have before us, as I said, item number 6. In order just to discuss it, I'll move it. Is there a second? No second. I mean, I can't second. No motion. Bill, you don't want a second?
I'm sorry, second.
All right, thank you. Yes, this was, first of all, just a little bit of background. I'm sure it's no news to everybody. We have been live streaming our legislative sessions. Paul, for how long have we been doing? It's a little over a year. Okay. Yeah, and what this does, and this is brought forward to us by legislator Aaron Rowley, and what this does is codifies it into our legislative manual. It's very well written and it's got some great concepts in there. I would like to make some friendly amendments though. What it does is it requires live streaming of legislative sessions, public meetings, and public hearings. I think we all know what a legislative session is. That's what this is. Our committee meetings are legislative sessions. We all know what public hearings are. Those are things that are publicly noticed and required for sort of like our different some public hearings with respect to the budget, those things. But, and I spoke with Aaron about this as well. What I want to do for tonight anyway is take out the words public meetings where it applies in this resolution. The reason for that is there's not a working definition in this right now. I don't want to delay our full board consideration of this at the May meeting by having that fleshed out here. To the extent it is passed out of this committee tonight, which I hope it is, and passed by the legislature in this May meeting, we want to revisit, perhaps broaden the items that can be live streamed. But I think at this point, public meetings just doesn't have a definition right now. So I'll make a motion to amend this, to take that word out, those two words out. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion among the committee on that amendment?
I think this is a wonderful thing, we really should codify it, we are. And we're in a new century, and we have to act and look to the future. And this is something we really should do.
Any other? Yes.
I think that we need to put in something here, when possible.
Yes.
Today, because I live in this general area, Comcast had a service outage for extended periods of time. So let's do this right.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. In fact, I was discussing with Aaron at the beginning of the meeting as well. There's a couple of other nibbling around the edges that I'm suggesting that would be one as well. But just on this motion to amend with respect to taking out public meetings, any legislator have a question?
I have a question through the chair to Legislator Crowley. Very hard. What do you mean by public meetings?
Public meeting by definition is just, means a meeting that is required to be open to the public. There are specific meetings that have definitions in the political world, so physical meeting of members, annual meetings, scoping meetings, board meetings, so all of those could be considered, but a public meeting would encompass all, technically, the meaning behind it, from what I understand from doing my research, a public meeting would encompass the virtue of all the meetings that we have. So all public meetings, meaning committee hearings, that would encompass everything.
Tactically, do you have an objection to removing public meetings? When we have legislative session?
I don't have an objection to it at all. I didn't.
Okay.
No, I didn't object to it at all. I said I didn't mind. It was just it's more broad term, just encompassing all meetings that are in the nature of government.
Any other legislative comment? Any comment from the public on this in particular point? We're going to come back to the main question at the end, but on the question on public meetings.
Just a question. Okay.
Sure.
I'll get it sat down. But, public meeting definition. So, for example, the various board meetings be removed from this.
When you say board meetings?
So, okay, today there was an ag board meeting. I couldn't make that meeting because I was working, but would love to have it on in the background or something.
Yeah, that's a good question. This, it's just for this body, not the entire legislature. This is an amendment to the legislative manual, which only applies to this body.
So any board that doesn't have a legislator, that isn't this body.
Exactly. We do appoint several bodies, like the plumbing board, the electrical board, the ag board. We appoint all of those boards. This would not apply to them like the rest of the legislative manual does not apply to them.
Even if public meeting was in this, it still wouldn't apply to those.
Correct.
Right. Thank you. And I just am glad that it's being considered and it sounds like it's on.
Chair.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
All of those committees should have bylaws, which can then be adopted where if the members feel that they wanted to do that, they could then have, I know Cornell Cooperative absolutely does it. I learned about the owl the other day, so it's something that certain boards do, and it can be done.
Okay, but not through this.
Not through this, no, it would be through the individual committee that they adopt through the board.
Well, thank you again. I'm glad that it seems that the discussion has moved this forward. I was just asking if it does make it to the May agenda, it doesn't get removed from the agenda. Because it seems that the discussion was great, and you guys have all made great points on it, and I'm glad to see that there seems to be movement for making things happen. So again, thank you all for that.
Yes.
So that, and not to complicate things, those meetings are held to the standard that all public meetings are and have to adhere to open meetings law. So in essence, they really should comply with this as well, and it could be up to us to impose that. It's not really up to them.
True, but I'm not sure does the open meeting laws currently require live streaming? I don't, for anyone.
No, it doesn't, but I'm saying those, if we're talking the definition of public meetings, those meetings are by definition public meetings and should be, and I think whatever, rules we impose on this committee, these legislative committee meetings, and we could just call it that, we don't have to call it open meetings, we should just really say what it is right now and say live streaming for legislative committee meetings and full legislative meetings, because that's really what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. I think we look at the Venn diagram with the circles. Legislative sessions encompasses this type of meeting, which is just a committee meeting, encompasses our full board legislative meetings, regular meetings, and also encompasses our special meetings. So I think this will cover that. And then, of course, public hearings will cover that as well.
Just because of the nature of what we've been experiencing, and no disrespect to our volunteer boards, I often go searching for minutes from these different boards and can't find them, or they don't take them, or then I need those resources to do my work. So a live stream meeting or videotape of that meeting would be really helpful.
Don't disagree. Any other comment from anybody? Yes.
I do agree that if we do have these, and I know this is taking a step further, this is important that we get this passed, but I do agree that if we're gonna have these volunteer boards, it should be accessible to the public as well. And I think it should be something that we look into further, and I'll be glad to draft up a resolution to see what we can do. And I know Cornell has it in there, planning has the ability to do it there. So I don't know about all the venues, I'd have to talk to IT, but I'm willing to take that task on and see what we can do.
You eat an elephant one bite at a time. Thank you, first bite.
DPW has it, you know, they want access reports on their projects, you can do it right on the website.
So, yes. State your name. Could
Is
you state your name just for the record?
Is there a way that it can be codified, where there are requirements, if it's a board that's established by legislature, right? Is there some way the legislature can say, hey, we authorize and establish these particular boards? Is there a way that you can codify where, not necessarily live stream, I would settle for video, right? Because if someone doesn't get time to approve the minutes, if the board doesn't meet, or the documents disappear, there's always that video. So is there a way or how the legislature has to do that?
There probably isn't. I don't have an answer for you tonight because there are various boards that we do appoint members to, but of which we don't have control over. So, for instance, I'm appointed to the Cornell Cooperative Extension Board by this legislature, and yet we don't have any oversight. Although, as Aaron pointed out, they do a great job. They have the owl, they line work, they tape everything. So, what I'd like to do is take that under advisement and get an answer, if not the next meeting, maybe the one after that, because there's different variations of our power over certain boards. Plumbing, electrical, home improvement board, they're strictly county boards, we appoint all the members, they're housed in the county departments. Other boards like the Fish and Wildlife Board, we have members that we appoint to that. I'm not sure of our statutory authority to impose upon them any of their internal working. So it's a good question. Tonight, though, we're only talking about the legislative manual.
The one video was more than I understand some limitations. There's certain boards, specifically, let's say ag board, that is established by the legislature. So even if it's like it starts there, and that's the easier thing to start with, and not necessarily just ag board, but any board that the legislature release. And then, obviously the larger thing that I think that would be great.
That's good. That's good advice. Thank you. And tonight we're just talking about the legislative manual. Let's stay on.
We did today record at the ag board meeting.
Great.
And video, so.
Awesome. I'll watch it tonight.
I don't know that it's posted, I'm just saying it was done.
Good. Any other comments on this one amendment? Take out the word public meetings. All in favor of that one amendment, public meetings? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. We just talked those. The next amendment I'd like to make, again, a brief housekeeping one, friendly amendment. We take a look at paragraphs A and B of this, and also, yes, A and B, where it says in A1, it says all regular and special legislative, but I'd like to add the words in as follows: all regular and special legislative sessions will, to the greatest extent possible. Yeah, heading right here. If you take a look at the first page, will, to the greatest extent possible, be broadcast live. And then similarly on the next page, under 2, the top of the page, public access and recording. Sessions will be, or will, again, to the extent possible, be fully accessible online. And I think that is the only places where I had, oh no, I'm sorry, and then if we go to B, under live streaming of, it says public meetings, but now it's going to be committee sessions and public hearings. It'll say, committee sessions and public hearings will also be, to the greatest extent possible, live streamed. So we're changing that in 3 places. Paragraph A1, A2, and paragraph B1. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do you have all of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion from committee members on that then? Okay. Any discussion from legislators? Oh, I agree. Okay. Any discussion from the public? On this amendment, all in favor?
Aye.
The last amendment I have is in the last paragraph, the second to last resolve clause. It currently reads, resolved that the clerk of the legislature and director of information technology are hereby authorized to implement this initiative and ensure that all legislative sessions and public meetings, public hearings are broadcast and archived for public access. I want to change that to read as follows. Resolved that the clerk of the legislature instruct the word and put in the words with the assistance of the director of information technology. And then after the technology, put the words as requested. And strike the word is. Strike the word are and replace it with the word is, so that it'll read as follows. Resolved that the clerk of the legislature, with the assistance of the director of information technology as requested, is hereby authorized to implement this initiative, etc. And the reason for that amendment that I'm moving is, this is our legislative session. We heavily rely on the expertise of our information technology folks, but they are a different branch, and we want to ensure that this would be fully under the control of the legislature, us to our clerk. Before we discuss it, do I have a second on that amendment? Any discussion among the committee first on this amendment? Aaron?
So, where the last resolve, I think it should say are broadcast live and archived for public access, because that's the whole purpose of this.
Okay. Could you hold on to that? And we'll make that next. I just want to.
The whole point of, I would ask that somebody make an amendment to that, because the whole
I'll
point
do
of
that right.
is.
I'm going to do that right after we discuss this one.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Any other legislators have any comment on this amendment? Any member of the public have a comment on this amendment? All in favor? Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I agree.
Great. We like 50, we like short. Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor on this amendment?
Aye.
Aye. The last amendment I have would be the one that legislator Crowley just suggested. Again, it's the penultimate resolve clause, the second last resolve clause. Hearings are broadcasted. That would be the word live. Broadcast and for in archive. Do I have a second on that amendment?
Second.
Any discussion among the committee on the amendment? Any discussion among the legislators on the amendment? Any discussion? Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any discussion in the public on the amendment? All in favor on this amendment?
Aye.
Any other amendments to this? Yes.
I would just like to remove the word digital, so we're not limiting ourselves for the future.
Paragraph.
Second paragraph, whereas advancements in digital communication, where advancements in communication. Also, digital, I believe appeared one other place. I just don't want to limit ourselves as things may change.
What do you want to move?
The word digital there. I'll second that. And to the extent we can't find it any other place, the word digital.
A1, making use of digital platforms, just making use of platforms.
Okay. Did we move a second that? Any discussion among the committee on that amendment? Any discussion among legislators on the amendment? All in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Yes.
I have discussion on it. A digital platform is an online infrastructure that facilitates interactions and transactions between users. So a central hub like YouTube that we're using would be digital. So why would you remove digital when that's actually what we're using as the
Suppose I'm gonna be the third
It
person.
could be, we could amend it as we go if we needed to extend it into something else, but we are actually using a digital platform. That is what we're using. So why would you remove what we're using?
But suppose we wanted to broadcast it live on,
That's not what we're doing now.
but do we want to force, well, if I could just finish. Suppose we wanted to broadcast live on Xfinity, which is a broadcast platform, not a digital platform.
You could add broadcast and amend it, because we're using digital now, and just add the word broadcast instead of remove the word digital.
Could, but,
It is a digital platform, that's exactly what it is.
and
what we're
these-
using.
yes, but suppose we had,
We amend it to adopt something new, because we're moving forward towards new technology, because we're advancing. So we would add the word broadcast and not remove the word digital.
I'm happy to remove myself to that.
No, I'm just saying, why limit ourselves?
It's not limiting, that's exactly what the definition is. That's I pulled it up, that's.
I know, but suppose there was a broadcast medium that one.
Suppose we have a meeting and we talk about it, we add to it. This is what we're using right now, it's a digital platform.
I'm happy to, you want to remove, no, okay. Where are we going on it? It's actually, I think, I don't think we're far apart on this at all. I'm glad that this is the thing we're because it's kind of,
I just think it shows ignorance to what kind of platforms we use. I think it's silly.
I'm sorry for yes, yeah, Rian.
I didn't want to, Aaron, I do agree with you to a certain extent, but I think there might be a better option. Where wouldn't, to Mr. Elder's point, not limiting, would you even consider just using a public access platform? It then opens it up to digital, to broadcasting, any broadcast aspect of that. Not to say, call it backwards, become an AM/FM, but I think if you keep it a little more vague, it allows that working of.
In the original one that I drew up, it actually had a number of different platforms that I've had that have been removed since. So keeping it vague is fine. I just don't want to be limited to. And that's what makes me nervous about changing certain.
Yes, and I agree, and I do agree with that comment. Taking it out does almost limit in a sense, but I think if you leave it as a public access, which is the whole point of it, right? So a public access platform, it then allows you to go wherever communications go in the future.
I agree.
And then in all reality, there's no reason to dive back into it.
You don't have to amend it moving forward. It's just a generalization.
Yeah, I do think that would give you guys a little, it made it easier, except that it's not that into it when things do change, and then it's just a headache to go through the whole conversation. So if you leave it open to a public access platform, the wording is a little more vague. And I know as a lawyer that may not be it's not always a fun thing, but I do think in this circumstance, for what the purpose is and the intent of transparency to the public, it just allows you guys that flexibility to go with whatever happens in the future. So,
thank you. Any other comment on that amendment which was passed? Okay, now that we have the full, no other amendments, any other amendments? We have the full as amended resolution before us. Okay, any discussion on that among the committee? Any discussion on the full resolution from the legislature? Any discussion from the public on the full resolution?
Comment?
I'm sure.
I just want to thank Legislator Yaki, who put this into play. My understanding is this started with Chairman Sullivan, and then Legislator, and then Chairman Yaki started the whole thing, and he was kind enough to involve me in physical services, where I was there while everything was being installed, where we identified equipment problems, we fixed the equipment problems, and then we ultimately fixed the microphone problem. So thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, I'd like to also thank everybody involved with this. We've come a long way since 2021, where the legislators who are here now denied my requests to live stream, citing that we weren't mandated to do it by the state. I did put proposals before this legislature were a lot less expensive than what we installed, unfortunately, and those resources that I put before you are what, Legislator Birmingham and I were talking about, very easy to use equipment that could have been installed very quickly. So while I do appreciate all the work that's gone into it and pat you guys on the back, thank you, we have to think about me hitting a brick wall year after year asking for this. And I'm glad it's finally implemented.
Thank you. To echo a little bit of what Nancy was saying, I think I've talked about this before. In 2004, when I was a freshman legislator, I had a little website when I became legislator. Facebook was around, I had my own little site for legislative business, and I started publishing on that website our minutes. And I received a lot of flack and a lot of criticism. In fact, there were some newspaper articles written on it, taking my side, but still, I was criticized for putting our minutes, what was deemed as our minutes, not the published minutes, but our minutes on a public platform. And it was a bipartisan beatdown I got. So, we have come a long way. And it's 20 years later, and we probably still have a long way to go on many other areas. But I think this is a good step, a big step in the right direction to codify it. And those steps started many decades ago through various people's efforts, and certainly more recently up through these current years where we do have a permanent fixed live streaming video in our committee room. We have one here today, as we all know, we're meeting here today because of the elevator, and we're still streaming live. And so it's an ever-evolving effort, and thanks to everybody involved with that. So, barring any other comments, I'd like to call this question on the main motion to the vote. All in favor? Okay. Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay, great. Thank you, folks. Our next item on the agenda is item number 7. It's a confidential item, my colleagues. It's our litigation report. To the extent anybody has any comments, which I don't think we do, we can do an executive session. Seeing none, just want to remind folks to destroy that before you throw it away. Any other business? Bill?
I'm glad that next month we're going to talk about public comments. That's a big thing.
Yeah, I'm envisioning that there have been some good points made on that in the last few weeks and beyond. I don't think it's a bad thing to codify, but we do want to remember that our full board meetings, except for maybe those items which haven't seen the light of the committee hearing. Anyway, we'll talk more about it, but I'm just, there'll be a compromise there. I think that would be suitable, I think, for everybody. But my position is, and again, I'm only 1 out of 9, that our action meetings, our full board meetings, generally, with very few exceptions, should be for voting sessions.
John, I would agree with you in theory, but the average Howard doesn't always work in a situation. When items come directly to the full and not go to committee, then we need to be able to discuss that. So I would be open to a situation where if something like that happens, then allow the public and that type of thing to discuss it. But if not, I can't support something like that.
Yeah, I don't think we're far. Any other business? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
all in favor? Aye. Thanks, folks. Have a good night.